and welcome to Come LARP with me here on Geek Public. This is your host, Ryan Omega, and I am joined by Trevor Valle, who is a TTRPG writer, playtester, actual play performer, and professional game master. Oh my god, I can say words. His works include GMing for Doom, Desert Fall for Modifius, and Leverage LA for Open Circuit Studios. He's one of the original playtesters for Mind's Eye Theater from the 90s, so old school LARPer, playing Vampire for over 30 years, and he's also my Colonel Mustard from my production of First Draft Clue. Welcome, Trevor.
Hey, this is fucking dope, dude. This is rad. Oh, wait, are we allowed to swear?
You are allowed to swear.
Okay, good. Whew. It just comes out. It's just like excitement. It's like, oh my God, let's be on that show. This is rad.
Wow, you were just so excited right there that like the audio just went.
Oh, sorry. Let me turn my game down a little. There we go.
Oh, okay. It's okay. I like
Whoops.
excitement. It's fine. If the audio equipment can't handle your excitement, it's too bad.
It's like, yeah, we've got competing things. Like, let me turn my gain down. Let's check your levels. Yeah, I'll try and be more restrained. We are
No,
talking about Vampire.
no, I do not. I do not take restrainment. So we're both going to be at Darkness Emergent Las Vegas, November 7th through the 10th.
It's a few days, man.
I know. Oh my god, it's in a few days, and so we're gonna talk about the most nerdy thing you could talk about, but also most important, we're gonna talk about Laws of the Night, the version that's published by By Night Studios in 2023. It's the LARP rulebook for Darkness Emergent coming up, and so we're going to talk about. So we're going to talk about what mechanics are in this particular book, but also I'm an old school LARPer who was used to this book. Let's see if we can. Laws of the Night revised by Mind's Eye Theater. It was published by White Wolf in 1999. I started playing Vampire LARP in 2000. So this was the standard LARP book for about 20 plus years. And now we're going to talk about the differences between this book that I played with and the book that Trevor holds, because I don't know the system very well, so I'm going to be asking him questions based on what I know and what I don't know. And I imagine there's a few changes just doing a cursory read of that book. So I need Trevor to explain these to me. But before we do that, let's talk about your character that you're playing here at Darkness Emergent, because I know this is not part of the original discussion, but you were so excited, and I'm like, you got to talk about it.
I am so excited. So I'm born and raised here in Los Angeles. I'm Hispanic. I have been very lucky to be here in LA and grow up in the Chicano areas with a Hispanic lineage, with a bunch of stuff, and I'm fully embracing that over the last 20 years or so, because for the longest time my family was Valley. We would pronounce it Valley. We were anglicized Valley. And then it's like, no, we are Valles. We can trace our lineage back to Navarra in Spain and Basque Country. We were sailors. We were all of this stuff. Unfortunately, we were also Spanish colonizers. But the fact that I'm here in Los Angeles, one of the core areas, the Rancho period, all of this, I decided I am going to go balls out and play a Spanish La Sombra. But not just any Spanish La Sombra, a La Sombra from East Los Angeles. And I'm going to pull out all the stops with costuming, with behavior, with colloquialisms, with and the general idea. But in the vampire world, Los Angeles is the center of the Anarch Free State. It's a bunch of independent vampires in their own little baronies and gangs, and bitterness back and forth. And I'm playing what's called Nautarchus. It is an independent vampire. I do not subscribe to the Anarch ideal, the Camarilla ideal, definitely not the Sabbat ideal, even though I am a La Sombra. And I find it's very fascinating to play that kind of character in an Anarch system. And then all of a sudden we're rolling into Vegas, which has been removed from Camarilla thanks to the decisions in Darkness Emergent Chicago, and is now headed by an Anarch council of some kind.
Oh yeah, the Anarch Triumvirate, because what they wanted to do was they wanted to share the power rather than have a single baron. So that's the idea behind it. It's almost considered an Anarch utopia, and
Right.
that is the game that we're walking into. And my God, this is crazy because this will never happen again.
No.
Like, we don't know what the result will be, but this type of game will never happen again.
After I was invited to Darkness Emergent, I made my character and all that. I found out, I found out where Darkness Emergent is going.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to, because I don't know if it's public knowledge or if people know or people who are playing know or anything like that, but there are more Darkness Emergent events coming next year.
Yeah.
And I mistakenly put myself right in the middle of one creating my character and didn't realize it. And it's funny you say the triumvirate. It reminds me a lot of way back, I think it was 1991.
Mm-hmm.
There was a introductory adventure for Vampire the Masquerade called Alien Hunger, which takes place in Denver. And you have Prince Edward, who makes a deal to create the Council of Denver with a independent La Sombra. And I think a couple other people, but it's not considered a Camarilla city. It's a city run by a council who happens to have one guy that calls him Prince. There's a totally independent La Sombra elsewhere on it and some lesser members. It's wild.
Oh, yeah.
Now we're walking into Vegas with basically the same thing, and one of them is Theo Bell.
Yeah. Like, you're putting a whole icon, someone who led the Bruja out of the Camarilla, as one of the leaders. The other two,
Bruja Anarch.
The Bruja Anarch, right? And then the other two people are Ministry and Simizi. These are the leaders.
Yeah. So we have dragons, Setites, and the ultimate Anarch.
Yeah.
Effectively.
Welcome to Vegas.
No kidding. City of Sin indeed.
Yeah, that's why I'm so excited. A little scared. Not gonna lie.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I'm not a combat character. I'm just like, oh man. I'm a Sombra. I do things behind the scene, in the shadows. La Sombra, the shadows.
The shadows.
And yeah, man, I'm just gonna be in the background.
So
even though my character's a social peacock, I'm just gonna be like, nope, I'm over here in the zoot suit. Ignore me.
Yeah, like, like fancy like a feather, but I'm gonna be back there.
Right.
Right. So talking about like your character a little bit, like let's lead into character creation, right? So how did you go about creating this character using this system?
Wow, that's a wild one. So my whole whenever I do a character, regardless of system, I start with how they act and who they are as a person in my head. I find the personality first. And then I'm like, okay, East LA, very Chicano, vampire, old enough, probably was also Pachuco, went through the riots in 43. If that means that, then he was in the Anarch revolt of 1944. And just like start going back. Oh, California was formed in the Rancho period. How old is he? I just kind of kept going back. And that gave me a general idea of which ways I could go. Am I a bruiser? Am I a gang member in East LA? Am I an anarch? No. I want to play somebody a little bit more refined, something I normally don't do,
Mm-hmm.
which is a social character. And then I just kind of worked on it from there. And then I opened the book and started going through the character creation system.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was assigning points, it took me probably a solid week to make Don Jacinto. And because I kept doing different variations and I kept going, well, I want to give him weaknesses, like serious weaknesses. In Laws of the Night, in this new book, man, the character creation steps, like they are laid out so brilliantly straightforward. Like it's just, I thought I had it bookmarked. Oh yeah, literally character creation cheat sheet.
Do you have a cheat sheet? That did not
in the book.
That did not exist here.
Character creation cheat sheet. It tells you the entire thing all the way down. Core concept: humanity, clan and sire, generation and potency, attributes, skills, predator type, backgrounds, merits, flaws, disciplines, starting experience.
Okay, so let's take the cheat sheet, right? Let's go through a little bit of the character creation process. So what stands out to you as you are making it in comparison to whatever you remember from Laws of the Night Revised?
Well, in this version, it's great because they have, not only do they have the cheat sheet and how to create a character, but they've got history of all the clans and archetypes and all that spelled out in it. Unlike Laws of the Night, when we were working on the first box and the first green book for it, it was always, pick your clan. For more descriptions of clans, please go to Player's Guide, blah, 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 Vampire the Masquerade page, 230, things like that. This has everything in it. So I got to reacquire myself with La Sombra and their ideas and archetypes and everything. And it just felt way more streamlined for some reason. And I've been playing Vampire tabletop forever. But for some reason, this gave a real tabletop feel of character creation. And all of a sudden, it's like, wait a minute. I'm going to be throwing chops in Vegas with this character. It was such a weird moment of, it feels like you're making a tabletop character with naturally like less points here and there, less dots and things. But it was really smooth. I loved it. And the fact that it's like, hey, come up with a core concept. I just did that. That's just my own thing. And then I read it in the book. Hey, this is a great way to do it. Figure out who you are, how old you are, how humane you are, figure out your history, and then let's do stats. And I love that because it really gets you an idea of what the character is. Because live action role playing is radically different than tabletop, as you know.
Yeah.
Being the LARP god that you are, like you have to be believable. It's role playing is you're taking on a role. Live action role playing is you're walking around dressed as, moving as, speaking as, creating a presence as.
Yeah, when you are LARPing, you're inhabiting the character throughout your whole body, not just your voice, just not your face, your whole body. And that type of role play is so very, very different than just being at a table at a TTRPG space. Because I definitely know that there are people who are solid LARPers, but the moment you restrict them to behind the table rolling dice, it becomes hard for them. Right. But the reverse is also true, where you have people who are used to being behind the table. The moment you put them in costume, they freeze.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those are two totally different disciplines in role play.
Oh, absolutely. And it doesn't come down to your, your ability to be an actor or anything like that. It really comes down to just you as kind of a person, because there are definitely people that are extremely extroverted at a table, and they'll say things like, oh, Lirhana the Known is going to go do this, 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 and this. Then you've got players who are like more of the personal type that go, oh, I'm going to attack the kobold, or I'm going to, fight the Bruja.
Mm-hmm.
But then in LARP, you are face to face with another person as your character,
Mm-hmm.
reflecting, whether you choose to or not, because you may be devious, the stats on that sheet.
Mm-hmm.
Face to face with another person. Like when you and I interact, if we even do, because there's like 200 people
Mm-hmm.
that are going to be there,
Mm-hmm.
it's not going to be Trevor Ryan reminiscing about, playing Vampire and Clue.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be, Don Jacinto Rodolfo de Costa.
Talking with Dr. Vermundo de Sancha about this is welcome to Vegas. What would you like to do here because you are not Anarch?
Exactly. Well,
Yeah.
like, I happen to have a couple of businesses already. Have you heard of the fabulous El Cortez Hotel and Casino? We just made up the, it's the National Historic Places, one of the oldest locations here in Vegas.
Ah, I see. See, I am very new. I am very new to Vegas, but I am helping Yaromir run this right now. So, any advice you have for me, especially what is it? El Cortez? Is that what is it called? El
Yes.
Rancho? El Cortez. Okay.
No, El Cortez Hotel and Casino.
Yes. Isn't that the one that is shutting down?
No. It's the foothold of Fremont Street. Just went through a whole renovation. It's wonderful.
Mhm.
Funny enough, there's actually a small speakeasy in a restaurant nearby called the Laundry Room. It's where the original laundry room of the El Cortez was. I should take you there. It is a very active nightlife, and it's very, very particular.
Ah, good. I like particular. And then
And there we go.
continue.
We
Yeah,
just
there we
went
go.
right into character.
Just get into character.
Yeah, that is what we're doing, but that's hard to do from a tabletop perspective.
Yeah.
So that's why I love these rules
Mhm.
are like, get the core concept of that character together.
Mhm.
Whereas when we were playtesting Mind's Eye Theater and even the revised rules, it really came down to stats. Because
Yes, like there were
it
so
really was.
many. There were so
Oh
many.
my-
Okay, because I remember very clearly the physical, the mental, the social, and
Yes.
then every stat had a named trait.
yes,
I remember going through these traits, like, okay, well, that would be great for me to just give an idea for the character. But I remember in the past you had to bid a trait.
oh my God,
And,
yes.
and then that became so complicated. I mean,
Yeah.
I weirdly understood what they were going for, but it wasn't very natural. It was almost like, here are prompts of what describes your character, but now you have to use them whenever you have to bid, like, for a mental challenge, for a physical
I
challenge.
will be brutal in attacking you,
Right.
and you're going to be nimble enough to dodge.
Yes. And that's does it still have that?
It not really.
Okay.
So back then, the OG rules, and I always disliked this, and
Mhm.
I made it clear, but for some reason in the OG rules, you would make those statements. I am brutal, I am nimble.
Mhm.
And then you would, you'd throw chops, and if you tied, you would find, measure your different pools of how many traits you had in physical, mental, or social.
Mhm.
But if you lost, you would lose that trait for the scene, i.e., for the night.
Mhm.
I never liked that. So all of a sudden, if you lost the challenge, you're no longer nimble because you lost the faith in being nimble. Never agreed with that. Always disliked that.
I weirdly like that system because otherwise, yeah, the reason why is because after a while, maybe a character that was very powerful would wear down a little bit. It also means that you were taking chances whenever you made challenges. So you didn't make challenges all the time. If you had stats that never went down, if I played for a very long time, I was always assured that I would, for the most part, I would win quite a bit because there's no way for stat attrition to happen. Now, granted, you are playing rock, paper, scissors, so even if you were a neonate trying to battle and in Scylla, you would win, 1/3 of the time, which sounds about right. But
then you had overbidding.
Yeah, and then you had overbidding. If you were just that bold.
Yeah, I have a retest. I have 14 traits in physical, and then the neonate goes, I have 6.
It's the whip out your dick rule. That's what it is. I understand it, but I that's one I didn't like.
Yeah, and the fact that you could be, you could use subterfuge, not as in the trait, but like actually lying and say something like, oh, I have 8 physical. Oh, you have 6, you lost. When in reality, you had 16. You can undervalue the amount of traits you had, which is just mind-boggling. It's like, I'm not as strong as, I'm stronger than I appear. I get it in the political way.
Yeah.
I get that. But I wish there was a way that it was just, I don't know, just not being nimble for the rest of the night. Like if you would just like -1 to your pool, it was just the wording of you can no longer bid that trait that just always bothered me. And because it's like, no, I may have just lost that scrap, but I'm still who I am.
Yeah.
And so we don't do in V5 here, we don't bid traits. It's straight up pools.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah,
it's just like a number.
Yeah, it's literally a number. It's like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. It's a physical versus a mental. Add up your, it's like add up strength and I think like strength and awareness or something like that versus whatever those two pools combined. Throw who has the bigger pool. That's the that's the number of successes. But then you've got the critical successes. If you seriously outnumber the other person, which this is kind of relative to the overbidding process, but it's just direct, you do critical successes. It's actually bringing the critical success aspect of tabletop into LARP.
Okay, so tell me how critical success works, because that's new to me. Like I never knew that's something that they brought in.
It's rad. Let me get the official because I can just go through it real quick, but there's very specific wording for it.
Oh, okay.
And it mainly has to do, it's your where are you? Come here. Okay, here we go. It mainly has to do with the number of so right here, for example, this is the second turn in combat. One throws a punch, which is strength plus brawl for a total of 7.
Okay.
The other one dodges with a total of 5. The dodger throws scissor, the attacker throws rock. Obviously the attacker rolls more.
Right.
The thing is, not only is their pool higher, but the attacker has a total of 2 more higher. So that is additional damage. That is considered a critical success.
Oh.
So if you are 2 or more, you're getting hit harder. You're getting dominated harder. You're dodging way more. It's like I would rule as a storyteller, I would rule something cool is if the person dodging has a much higher pool and it's not a tie, and it's not a retest. You have to win outright and have a higher pool, a significantly higher pool by 2.
By 2, like that's not hard.
No,
that makes so many of those conflicts that can happen just more dangerous by the next person. Like wow.
And a lot of people are saying that V5 is not. V5 tabletop is known to be brutal. Combat is brutal. It is it's a slugfest. This replicates that.
Wow.
Because all of a sudden, you're a thin blood that's getting mouthy in the middle of council, and the sheriff comes up and asks you politely to be quiet, you mouth off. And then all of a sudden, you're taking aggravated wounds as he backhands you.
Yeah.
Because that Bruja's physical, like that strength and brawl, he could be sitting on 10. He could be doing double fives there.
Mm-hmm.
While your little thin blood maybe is kind of beefy at 6. But no, you're getting smacked.
Wow.
And it represents that. And like an aggravated damage is still aggravated damage. Like it's less lethal than a tabletop, but it can still happen. You can very easily lose your character in LARP, especially Vampire.
So in terms of clans, just skipping back to your La Sombra character, any significant difference have you seen about the way La Sombra is written in this book than La Sombra that you have previously known?
A little bit. Naturally, there was a transition between the old discipline name Obtenebration to Oblivion, because it's tying into the whole spirit thing, not just I'm going to make shadows move. But it's the interesting thing that La Sombra have always been considered like the ultra religious of the Sabbat.
Yeah.
And as the lore has gone through, as like La Sombra Anti-Tribu were introduced, of like, oh, there's actually La Sombra in the Camarilla. How did that happen? Oh, we're going back to the Dark Ages. All the lore aside, nowadays, and I really like the write-up in this, that they are appropriately, I might add, known as one of the high clans. They are really stepping up in their description that they are basically the Ventru in the shadows. Well, more like the Ventru or the La Sombra in the daylight. But I use those words very specifically. They can burn. But it's just they're far more regal now that they should have been. They're not just the strange Cainite heresy screaming to the heavens about the third coming of Cain and all of this. They're a real in-depth clan. And I think the changes are way for the better in lore, the way they're played, the different predator types you can do with La Sombra really mesh together. Like, what's wrong with a La Sombra being famous? Having also, the superstar predator.
Also, I love that predator is a thing.
Yes.
Like, because the one thing that people never do, at least in old Vampire LARPs that I've played in, it always felt like it's a game of court that just happens to every once in a while snack. Like blood hunts were never really actively a thing unless you were at a LARP that actively encouraged it, because otherwise it was an easy thing to forget. And Predator keeps in mind that, hey, buddy, you have to feed, and that will affect how your character develops. And it is and it's one of those really cool, important flaws that we have, and it's innately built into your character because you get advantages and disadvantages based on your predator type.
Yeah, and predators were debuted in 5th edition in V5, and seeing them brought over into LARP, that right there, coming up with the core of your character and how they would act and how they would be, and then all of a sudden you see that perfect predator selection just pop up. Like, oh, are you like a really, really creepy Nosferatu? Or are you trying to be traditional, stereotypical? Oh, by the way, here is the grave robber predator type. You're super creepy. You can take your flaw of your eating organs, all this disturbing things. Or you could be, a superstar, or Osiris, the weird cult leader one. You could be, it's like the idea of that one really influenced tabletop play. Bringing that into LARP is just so beautiful.
Mhm. I
It's
also
so beautiful.
I also know that there is a type that exists, since 2020, but would not have existed in early Vampire, like around 2000s, and that is the consensualist type. Like that
Yes.
is definitely something that has come in as a result of where we were moving as role players, especially in the TTRPG world, as we look at safety tools. Because like to be quite honest, like back in the early 2000s when I played, safety was not a thing.
No.
If you had a horrible time, it's your fault.
Yeah, we had fair escape,
Mhm.
you know, and it's like, hey, look, there's a door, fair escape. I want to get the hell out of this scene. Yeah,
Mhm.
okay, cool. But no, 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 no. It
That was
was
not a thing.
yeah. It was built in, but it was still optional.
Hmm.
Um uh we tended to use it because being here in LA, I was running a lot of Sabat storylines.
Hmm.
Like not that like everybody was Sabat, but just the Sabat were coming up from San Diego and
Hmm.
wrecking. We had a 75 person game at City Walk
Hmm.
that almost got out of control because of the San Diego group. The San Diego LARP came up and they were all Sabat. So it was a massive just jumble. I've got a group of 75 players, and then San Diego shows up, which was anticipated, but they've got like 30. And then
Hmm.
all of a sudden, we're on radios on the freeway heading towards Santa Monica. It was a 2 night weekend game of just absolute chaos, and I loved it. But yeah, consent back then, what was that? There
Yeah.
were people that were still able to not have character bleed and would
Hmm.
do things like whisper like, hey, so when we do this fight, can we act it out? That
Hmm.
kind of thing. But yeah, that and the farmer predator type,
Hmm.
the one that eschews killing humans, that they're literally a farmer, they only feed from animals.
Yeah.
And those are a couple of the few predator types that you actually gain a dot in humanity,
Which
which
makes so much
is,
sense.
yeah, I know. I mean, and for those of you who like are interested in making characters for Laws of the Night, you've got some really rad power combos there of you could do something like take consensualist and
Hmm.
take herd and then take the advantage of herd friendly.
Hmm.
And then you're nice, and you've got a consenting group of individuals that know you're a vampire, and they're like, oh yeah, no, we're cool with it. Hey, can your friend join in? And then you can slake the hunger of two or more vampires depending on your level of herd.
Hmm.
It's just it's amazing.
Hmm. And it doesn't really rob the fangs out of the game. It just
No.
adds an option for
Right.
people who have a comfort level when it comes to that. Because Vampire, on its very nature, is a brutal game and a brutal genre. Like that's
Yeah.
what it is. But at the same time, we want to encourage other people to tell their stories, be able to play.
Right.
And one thing that I really like about Darkness Emergent that's coming up is the amount of plot that is available for characters. There's a buffet of plot. You will never get bored. You will get
No.
roped into something. I'm worried because I'm Dr. Vermundo is part of the Anarch Triumvirate, right? Like he's
Yeah.
working for Yarmir. And so I already know the amount of plot that I'm just going to be getting passively. So there's going to be a lot of people I'll be dealing with. At the same time, I'm excited because I know what is potentially out there, the fact that there's so many people that I get to role play with, and I could help people with making their scenes amazing. And that's what I kind of love about LARP.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's really funny. That you're part of that. And I was looking at it, I'm looking at the different plot lines. So for any of you that are interested, just go to darknessemergent.com. One, tickets are still available, which is kind of wild. I don't know how many. There can't be a lot left. Because there's at least 200 people. This is big. This isn't like, oh, hey, it's a bunch of people that are going to be hanging out at like Griffith Park playing Vampire. It's like, no, we're in the Paris Hotel and Casino in Vegas.
They have a nice venue. Oh my God.
Like the Paris Hotel. It's like 3 days of, and depending on your level, like there's a dinner, there's completely separate LARPs for I think elder and above players.
Oh, I'm running one of them.
Tell me you're doing Dark Epics.
No, I'm doing Pluto's Gold. It's the one that's only limited to 15 people.
The 12 well,
I'm one of the storytellers.
I'm
Oh, okay.
Yep.
There we go.
Yep.
You get to encounter my other character.
Did I upgrade to Methuselah? Yep. I'm so stoked for that. But then there's actual tabletop games that are going on. I'm stoked. I don't know if I'm gonna I haven't made a reservation yet. I know table space is clear, but I really want to play in Miss Magitech's game. But
double check. I think she only has one or two spots left.
I know, but I think my Fang appointment with Maven is at the same time.
Oh man. Okay.
Yeah, I have to. There's so many things going on, man.
Oh God. Yes.
Vampires and Vino. You get to hang out and talk with special guests. And like talk about wine, cheese, and there. If you're Methuselah or greater, there's the Dinner in Darkness where you're talking to creators and storytellers of Laws of the Night. You've got there's Seraphim, which is gonna be amazing.
Oh, that one is for everyone, and it's the soft role play club that happens after all of this. I'm like, yeah,
and that's Thursday.
Yeah, that's Thursday. That's not even Friday or Saturday.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, okay. And the thing is, everyone, and of course, there's a whole Discord and character profiles and all that. Everyone in the Discord is, because Seraphim has said it's going to be a soft RP event. You don't have to LARP there if you don't. You can just come, and it's like a cool club setting and drinks and music and dancing and all that. But so many people are like big in character that are going. And I'm just like, wow, this is totally going to be like a half and half thing, isn't it? The straight up balls that By Night Studios has. We're like, here is this LARP system, but we're not going to start there. We're going to do massive events in San Antonio, bigger event in Chicago, an even bigger event in Vegas, and then more venues to come. And it's all based on this one thing that has a lineage going back 30 years. And the changes are great, man. I love the mechanic changes. I really do. And it's not like pulling cards and trying to get successes and getting up to your, because there was a system, I forgot which version it was, 3, maybe 4, that it was literally you're pulling cards because you're trying to make it as crunchy as tabletop.
No,
so you're literally using a tabletop sheet that you can, do things and add 10 to because you're rolling dice and all that.
No, je refuse. I don't no, that makes no sense.
Card pulling. I know a lot of people love card pulling in LARPs, and I totally see the usage of it in some cases. I really like the idea of item, prop, and or in the case of Vampire, like a discipline card that you can have on you that you could just be like, 1, to refresh what you've got. And 2, just to like quietly hand somebody like, hi, Majesty, I'm using presents. That's
what we're using in Pluto's Gold. Like that's
rad.
Yeah, it's because the Bruce Monarch and I used to run a Vampire LARP called Hollywood Forever, and it was actually several streamers first introduction to LARP because
I heard
they
about
didn't,
that.
yeah, they didn't know where else to go. So we were lucky to have people like B Dave, like Vivka,
All right.
like Grant Imahara was one of my players too.
I miss
So
Grant. I miss
yeah,
Grant so much.
I miss Grant so much, and I was so honored to have been his storyteller. And
Oh,
so yeah, uh, for me, one thing I will never forget in this LARP, Grant is, you know, as much of a personality as he is very much introverted. So we played
yes.
a Nosferatu that was skulking about, called Craven, which is short for Cowardly Raven. Um, and
Oh my
so
God.
and so he had high levels of obfuscate, right? So he was in meetings and people would try to detect him through Auspex and could never find him. So he's just sitting there listening to all the meetings. Now, my character in Archon and storyteller in this game, I detect him because I just use my storyteller powers. And he goes, "Oh, I'm so sorry that I've been caught, but I can be useful to you." And I'm like, "In what way?" And then he proceeds to tell me everything in all the meetings that he's attended.
Oh, and Grant had an incredible, like nearly disturbing memory.
Yeah.
Like he could recall things, schematics, he could draw stuff. He was one of the most multi-talented people I'd ever known.
Mhm.
And just thinking of him as a Nosferatu spy, one, perfect.
Mhm.
Two, terrifying.
Oh, it got even better because I went to the Harpy, also known as Herald, in the current cases, but you know,
Yep.
and said, "I'm going to give Craven a major boon," and they're like, and everyone's like, "Why?" It's like, I don't have to tell you why, and then left. And so what ended up happening was his character came up to me every half hour, kept reporting to me what was going on. I'm like, "This is how you use a boon."
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's like I'm earning this. Watch this. Rad. Oh, that's amazing.
At the very end, like we took a picture and he just had this smile that he could not peel off his face because he was so proud about how much shit he got away with.
Oh,
So
oh. See that's the rad thing when you have a good, a good storyteller, players who understand that it's their story.
Mhm.
And that's the thing about just TTRPGs in general, and especially LARPs even more so. You're telling your story. The storyteller's there to act as bookends and plot twists.
Mhm.
But then you just have that passion to throw yourself into it.
Mhm.
Man, and then couple it with a really good system. That is that's just rad. That's what makes these things. That's why I've played Vampire forever. It's always been, yeah, tabletop, little bit crunchy, but LARP, man, every with the exception of the card pulling one,
Mhm.
every version has been successively more and more streamlined. And then we get to this one,
Mhm.
and it's just it's just dare I say it, it's easy.
Yeah.
It's just
Um.
who's got the bigger pool. Okay, you kick my ass. I'm
Mhm.
not losing traits. I'm not doing anything like that. And then at the end, you check your blood rouse, how much you're getting amped up.
Mhm.
And if you rouse too much, you could enter into a frenzy. You're going to get hungry later.
Mhm.
This system really brings the idea of, if you have to have a conflict, the conflict is going to happen, but then there are consequences.
Yes.
This isn't, oh, you're going to go slake your hunger on downtime. It's like, no, let's start burning your backgrounds and merits because you're in Vegas
Mhm.
and you're going to go have to find somebody to nibble on.
Mhm. I
And
mean,
you're in someone else's territory here.
it's Vegas, like,
Yeah.
and it's a special event. This is a time to go all out because,
Oh,
again,
yeah.
when are you going to do this again? Because I imagine that if you played in Darkness Emergent Chicago, you were still kowtowing to the fact that it's Camarilla. Here,
yeah.
this is going to be the Wild West. And that's what's going to be crazy about this game.
Yeah, because for those that know, this will be second nature to you. For those that don't, if you're just now learning about this, or you're just now going and you're not introduced, anarchs run territories, baronies, gangs, things like that. They're like, nope, like I'm the Baron of the Strip. I'm the Baron of Henderson. I'm the Baron of Red Rocks. Things like that. No, this is three vampires, the head of mortal affairs, the head of kindred affairs, and what's Theo's title?
I think he's the head of security or something like that.
Appropriately.
It's
head of kindred affairs, head of mortal affairs, Theo Bell. Just like baseball bat wielding. I am not getting on his bad side at all that whole weekend. I can't.
Oh, guess who's gonna try?
Yeah. Oh, I don't doubt.
Yeah. But someone has to give him a run. So it's going to be the doctor.
Oh yeah.
We talked about this actually. So, and that's a great thing. Like you're able to actually sort of set up a little bit of a conflict if you talk about it ahead of time, because that's just an amazing way to get a really cool scene. But we have to start wrapping up because like this, we could talk forever. I know that we could talk forever.
I actually have a question for you.
Oh, okay. I will take a question.
For first-time LARPers and first-time people doing that, specifically chops, rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah.
Are there any strategies to it? Because I've heard that there are not, that there are, that you judge the person if they're younger or older or new or experienced, like all this stuff. Like, are there any actual strategies to use?
So I have one that I keep in mind. So there's two of them. One of them is called Avalanche.
Is that just rock.
That is literally what it is. Just always throw a rock. Just always throw a rock so you don't have to think about it.
I get that.
The other thing is that I have noticed that when people lose a chop, their tendency is to go with whatever was beating up, whatever you would use to beat the other symbol, because they think that that's what they'll throw again. People are more likely to try to do that. So for example, if you threw rock and I threw scissors and I lost, the chances are very highly likely that I'm going to throw paper.
Oh.
Because people people mentally
memory.
Yeah, it's fresh in your memory. So your mentality is thinking that I'm going to change it to the thing that beats the previous thing because that's my only frame of reference. So if you could understand that, like you have a psychological strategy that you can deal with, or at least catch yourself from doing, because it is, for me, for the longest time, I used to do that because I'm like, oh, they threw rock, they beat me, I'm going to throw paper. Of course they threw scissors. So,
wow, okay.
So that's an actual strategy that I'm very aware of. Yeah.
Yeah, I never had a strategy. I was just kind of like, all right, what am I going to throw right now? Scissors? Yeah, let's do scissors. And that's amazing. And that's been with me since the original Mind's Eye Theater. What level of diversity do you see in LARPs?
So it depends on the LARP where you go to. So I will say that very early 2000s, sometimes I was the only brown person in the LARP. I was the only gay person in the LARP. I do remember there have been times when I go to a LARP and people would definitely, mock me for being gay, which is weird for a vampire.
Yeah, like
But
yeah, that seems weird.
It seems weird, but what ended up happening after a while is I would just, I take it in stride and I just continue to play with these guys. Usually these are LARPs that were full of like just straight white guys, right?
Yeah.
But after a while, when someone new came in and started to mock me for that or make fun of me, the other guys just start shaking their head like. And I realized something. What was great about LARP and that community is that when you play in that community, they finally get to see you as a person and not a thing that is somewhere else. And in my way, the reason why I like LARP is not just because it's been a great source of personal development. It's a great way to affect community change by just literally being yourself and not needing to apologize for it.
Dude, that is fucking rad. That statement alone is just like, hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
At this time, let's go ahead and conclude this.
Yeah, because that's a great way to end, and I think we're like way over time.
Yeah. So Trevor, where can people find you on social media?
Well, I'm Tattoos and Bones everywhere. TATTOOSANDBONES, all one word, because I'm a former paleontologist and I'm covered in tattoos. Yeah, mainly on I'm posting a lot on Instagram now because of Darkness Emergent, Blue Sky, things like that. Tattoosandbones.com is undergoing a big renovation right now, so all that. But yeah, just look for Tattoos and Bones and you'll find me on the Horrible Bird site. I still have an account, and yeah, all that, kind of everywhere.
All right. And you could find me, Ryan Omega, on several social medias, including the Horrible Bird site, but really also Blue Sky, Instagram, Facebook, but also here at Geek Public, where I continue to make Taskmaster LA, as well as other shows that are very much discussion oriented, the cross section of geekdom, nerddom, and discussion. So thank you for joining us on Come LARP with me. Come LARP with me, and we will see you next time. And hopefully, we will see you at Darkness Emergent Las Vegas. If you do, please come say hi to us.
Yeah.
We would really appreciate that.
Rock, paper,
Bye.
scissors.
Rock, paper, scissors. Bye.